Don't fight.
That little girl is ruling roost here.
So when behavior becomes difficult to ignore, what happens to the child whose strengths are quieter? My name is Sim. I have a master's in applied behavior analysis, a BTEC level 5 in positive behavior support, and I'm a practicing registrant of the UK Society of Behavior Analysis. Urgent behavior naturally pulls caring adults in.
And stop biting.
But this case shows how a different kind of attention can reveal what another child can do.
We have a son, Nicholas, who's 6.
In here, we have a model. Takes a lot of skill to be able to do it. And I think it will be perfect for you.
And that child was 6-year-old Nicholas.
Nicholas was so excited that he wanted to start straight away. He sat down and went through the instructions and had an incredibly large amount of patience to put it all together.
So Supernanny didn't just start with more corrections, she gave Nicholas a real challenge. She gave Nicholas the opportunity for his patience, his skill, and success to be the first thing that his parents noticed. And this is where that story of building confidence actually begins. And the first sign is actually how Nicholas responds when that challenge is put in front of him.
Right, exactly. Then move on to number 2. Good going.
You did a great job.
completed your model task.
And so, given a task that required both patience and persistence, Nicholas actually showed both.
That's amazing.
And so, the praise didn't create the ability. The task made the ability visible. And then the adult's recognition of that success made the whole thing matter.
Nicholas, he's a really bright boy and he's not challenged, he's not stimulated in a way that he should be.
And so that is Joe's working theory that the function of Nicholas's behavior is attention, that he's displaying this behavior in order to receive attention. Although it doesn't necessarily prove that every one of Nicholas's behaviors was to do with attention.
What Nicholas did at dinner with eating off of Paul's plate, and then when I responded to him like, we don't eat like that, he spit it back onto Paul's dinner plate.
Unacceptable, Nick. Don't ever do that again.
And so Joe's answer wasn't to give less attention, it was actually to give a better route to it. Listen to what Dad notices.
I'm proud of you, Nick. And you're patient. And you try and you don't give up.
And I particularly like this because the shift wasn't just more praise. Nicholas's parents were recognizing the behaviors behind the success. They were noticing the behaviors behind the success.
Okay, it's Nicholas's one-on-one time with Dad.
Come on, let's go.
What can we play?
We're gonna go find something.
But one successful task was only half the plan. The next moment shows what actually happened when Nicholas was promised attention itself.
When Paul got home, dinner was going really well until Nicholas decided he wanted a little extra attention and did something totally unacceptable.
And to understand why Nicholas needed another route to attention, we need to go back to the dinner clip. Now, notice where the attention goes when Nicholas spits the food back on the plate.
Are you an animal?
He spit it back onto Paul's dinner plate. That's just something that I will not tolerate.
Unacceptable, Nick. Don't ever do that again.
It wasn't really too big of a deal to me.
So, what did Nicholas's behavior actually change in the room? And so you have Nina responding strongly, and then Paul minimizing how serious the whole incident felt to him. And so the scene presents the behavior as unacceptable and disrespectful conduct that requires correction. But, the behavior draws immediate attention from both the adults and reorganizes the room around what Nicholas was doing. And so the disrespect reading describes the social impact of the behavior, but it doesn't actually explain what the behavior changed. And here the key thing is that disruption was followed by immediate and sustained adult engagement. So that supports Joe's attention hypothesis, but it doesn't prove that attention was the only function in his family dynamic in this situation. A clearer explanation may be that the behavior may have become one reliable way to direct that adult engagement or to draw that adult interaction. And so the better aligned approach is not to withdraw attention completely, but instead we create another route to that sustained engagement. And that can be through effort, responsibility, and participation. So more productive behaviors or more pro-social behaviors that are then followed by adult attention.
Unacceptable, man. Don't ever do that again.
It wasn't really too big of a deal to me.
Within seconds, both adults were focused on Nicholas. And so the whole behavior might be described as disrespectful, but the important thing here is that the whole interaction became organized around what Nicholas had just done. And so this looks like disrespect, but functionally it's a reliable way for Nicholas to get interaction from both adults, which supports Joe's theory that one important function of Nicholas's behavior is to get his parents' attention and interaction. But in a busy family, it is understandable that adults may just respond when things go wrong. Speaking from experience, you might have similar situations in your own home.
Seeking attention for negative behaviour.
We're going to give Nicholas lots of responsibility and different tasks to challenge him.
Joe's answer wasn't to stop the attention completely, but it was for Nicholas to get that attention in another way, making that attention available through something he could do successfully.
Nick, come over with me to this table. This is for Nicholas. It's his booster web chart.
And so Joe changes the situation before Nicholas has to do anything disruptive. Pay attention to the kind of task that Joe chooses, rather than just giving Nicholas something to do.
I introduced the booster chart for Nicholas because I wanted him to get lots of praise from his parents rather than seeking attention for negative behaviour.
So, this is the first diagram and it says number 1 and you have to put that small piece into the hole. Right, exactly. Then move on to number 2.
So what is Joe actually changing here? So earlier, Nicholas's disruption was followed by concentrated adult engagement. And then once given the model, Nicholas begins immediately. He follows the instructions, he persists, and he completes the task. Joe describes Nicholas as bright but insufficiently challenged. She believes that he engages, in her own words, negative behavior and then receives negative attention. And so Joe introduces a booster chart and meaningful responsibilities and tasks that are intended to challenge Nicholas, as well as adult praise following effort and completion. In other words, she creates a difficult but achievable task and arranges adult recognition around successful participation. Now, if insufficient challenge and access to adult attention are part of the pattern, then Joe's procedure is in the right direction. And that's because it gives effort, persistence, and completion a clear route to adult attention. However, of course, edited footage cannot show us whether attention was the only variable that was influencing Nicholas's behavior. Now, given the same situation, I would also use tasks that are meaningful to Nicholas, tasks that were appropriately challenging and matched to Nicholas's current level of skills. Adult feedback should then be linked to specific behaviors that were behind the success. So, for example, effort, persistence, and problem solving. And that is instead of praising Nicholas for a fixed trait. So meaningful challenge and participation are key here.
Good going.
He sat down and went through the instructions.
First, Joe changes the opportunity. Nicholas now has something useful he can attempt. Something where he can show following instructions, being persistent and being patient. And then she changes what follows. Adult attention is prepared to meet those behaviors when they produce success. Now, it's easy to think that a child just needs more confidence before they're able to try something difficult. But here, trying came first. Nicholas took on the challenge, persisted, and finished. Confidence became visible through what he did. Joe's approach is in the right direction. She arranges a genuine opportunity for success before asking for confidence to appear. Now watch whether the opportunity actually brings the skills that Joe was looking for into view.
Nicholas finished it. No kidding. Be fine.
Mom, look at you. That's amazing.
The chance gave Nicholas an opportunity to show that he could keep going and finish, and it also gave his parents a chance to notice something positive. And completing that task gives his dad something specific to recognize.
You can do anything you want, as long as you put your mind to it.
Yep.
And you're patient, and you try, and you don't give up.
And Paul names the patience, effort, and persistence that Nicholas showed when completing the model. And now the skills that Nicholas is showing aren't just being visible, but they're now being recognized by someone who's important to Nicholas.
My dad was really proud of me that I finished the model, and he wrote it on my chalk.
And so, to Nicholas, that success now has relational meaning. Someone important has seen what he was able to do. But one successful interaction is still only just one event. Joe also tries to make that connection more predictable. So, the model gives Nicholas a chance to succeed at something. It provides an opportunity to show what Nicholas is good at. But Joe also changes what happens around his parents' attention. Now, listen to the time that Joe specifically protects for Nicholas.
And then Nick to play with the other parent. So what you can see here is that you're both taking the responsibility in making sure that you both give your children that one-on-one focused time, and they get to have you equally then.
And so, why schedule attention if Nicholas's model was already successful at creating positive attention? The model task created one successful interaction. And the episode also showed that Nicholas's access to his parents' attention and engagement wasn't protected or consistent. And Joe believes that each child needs equal access to focused one-to-one parent time. And for Nicholas, she links this planned attention to a wider effort to reduce Nicholas's reliance on negative behavior, in Joe's words, to get negative attention. And so, Joe schedules Nicholas and parent play into the family routine so that each parent now shares responsibility for focused one-to-one time with Nicholas. And so if Nicholas's behavior is partly a way of getting attention from his parents, then this scheduled one-to-one time should help, because it helps him to know when that attention is actually coming. But the attention has to stay focused on Nicholas. Calling it one-to-one time is not enough if the parent becomes busy with something else. And so, given the same situation, I would define this one-to-one time a bit more clearly. Number one, I would ensure that the time was protected. Number two, I would ensure that whatever activity is taking place in that time is engaging for both parent and child. Number three, chores and unrelated adult tasks are kept separate from the time. And number four, the parent follows through at the promised time. The model task creates one successful moment, and Joe reads the situation as Nicholas not receiving enough focused attention. And so she schedules one-to-one time. If a lack of focused attention is part of the behavior pattern, then this approach fits, but only if the time remains child-focused and is actually delivered. And so a timetable can promise availability, but it cannot guarantee that the interaction will feel like one-to-one time to the child.
Okay, it's Nicholas's one-on-one time with Dad.
Come on, let's go.
What can we play?
We're gonna go find something.
And the next moment shows whether that one-to-one time actually stays focused on Nicholas. But then the plan meets real life. Watch what Dad does when Nicholas asks where they can play.
So this is all the garbage upstairs, right? So you know where we take that now? Come on. Come on. Nicholas.
Nothing was put upstairs, so.
And so, was the problem the idea of one-to-one time, or was that one-to-one time became something else? And at the start of the scheduled play period, Nicholas asks where they can play. Paul turns to removing rubbish, and Nicholas later says that nothing was fun and he didn't get a chance to play. So Nicholas could be seen as refusing to cooperate or becoming difficult during a household task. if attention is part of Nicholas's behavior pattern, being near dad while dad completes a chore is not the same as focused one-to-one time. The intervention failed here because the focused one-to-one time, that was replaced by chores. A better response would have been to keep the chores separate and deliver that promised time clearly. And so Paul and Nicholas were physically together, but the promised play became chores. And Paul appears to have thought that it would only take a moment. But from Nicholas's perspective, the moment or the time that he was promised never came. Proximity is not attention, and attention is not automatically connection. And so that intervention only works when that protected time is recognized by the child as shared engagement.
Well, yeah.
This isn't a story about an uncaring father. It's a reminder that good intentions and a child's experiences are not always the same thing. And Joe's response, she doesn't ask more of Nicholas. In fact, the next skill to develop is actually the adults. So Joe treats this failed interaction as something that can be repaired and not hidden or defended. Notice what she asks the adult to change before asking anything more from Nicholas.
He said he didn't get to play with me, so
Because you did your chores when you were supposed to be playing, right?
Well, yeah.
The question isn't whether the time was actually missed. Now the question is about what Paul does after recognizing it.
It would have been nice for you to have sat down and said, Nicholas, Daddy messed up, I'm sorry. All right? And what you are doing in the process is teaching your children, hey, sometimes we go off track and we make mistakes. And that is an important lesson.
So why does Paul need to acknowledge what happened? Why not just get the next one-to-one time right? Nicholas is promised one-to-one play, but that one-to-one play is displaced by a chore. And so Nicholas reports that he did not get to play. Now, Paul acknowledges that the interaction did not turn out as intended. And so Joe interprets this as Paul failing to deliver the time that he promised to Nicholas. And of course, Nicholas recognized the mismatch. And so Joe coaches an explicit adult repair. Name the mistake and apologize directly. And that models that adults can acknowledge when they go off track. Because if Nicholas was expecting one-to-one focus time from dad, and then that one-to-one focus time did not happen, then an apology makes sense. And that is because it names what went wrong and it helps to rebuild trust. It helps to build trust. But saying sorry is only the first step. And that is because Paul still needs to give Nicholas that one-to-one time that he missed. So Joe's advice already contains the core of a good repair, which is acknowledge the mistake and make up the time that was missed. I would also tell Nicholas when that one-to-one time would happen and make sure that I follow through. Repair shows Nicholas that Paul understands what went wrong and models that adults can admit mistakes. But the apology only becomes meaningful when that missed time is made up. The goal isn't to get every interaction right. It's to show what happens when you get one wrong. I would notice it, acknowledge it, and make sure that my child experiences something different next time. Again, Joe's approach is in the right direction. Effective parenting doesn't require parents to get every interaction right. Consistency matters, but repair helps to stop an imperfect moment becoming an unreliable pattern.
Nicholas, what we got here for you? A game to play with Daddy.
Guess who?
What happens next shows whether Paul follows through differently. Notice what Dad responds to during the game.
Does your person have white hair?
Does your person have peach skin?
My person has eyebrows. Oh, you kicked my butt! Look at that, good job!
Here, Nicholas gets Dad's attention by joining in, asking questions and playing the game. And not because something has gone wrong. And the game brings more of Nicholas's skills into view. That is, thinking through his questions, following the game, and enjoying his time with Dad.
Spending one-on-one time with Nicholas was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
And crucially, the connection is rewarding for Paul as well. Jo does not rely on one thing. She gives Nicholas something meaningful to work at, helps his parents to notice the effort behind it, and creates time for Nicholas to connect with them. And by the end, his parents are describing a child with far more to offer.
Nicholas, I see starting to open up to me and my wife.
Good work.
Nick, that's a beautiful picture.
He's such a deep little kid, and he has so much to offer. I'm impressed. That is great work. Very good.
The praise did not create Nicholas's patience, reasoning, or persistence. Instead, it recognized the skills he had already shown while completing the tasks and playing with Dad. And that is what confidence looks like in this footage. Trying, staying with something difficult, finishing, asking questions, and connecting. And Nicholas tells us what mattered most to him.
It made me happy because my mom and dad spend more time with me now.
If one repeated behavior is making an important home routine difficult, my free behavior clarity session helps clarify what to focus on next. First link on my profile page.